Gee, it's windy out here today. Welcome to another video about the ecological restoration of Puangiangi Island, Cook Strait, New Zealand. This is part 2 of our Fluttering Shearwater series. We're trying to attract flutterers to the island with speakers and decoys. Back in early July, Fluttering Shearwater and Diving Petrel were visiting the colony, and one flutterer had even made a nest bowl in one of the starter burrows that we've made here on site. It's now late September and the Fluttering Shearwater has been visiting the colony and staying overnight at least 20 times in that interval. These birds nest from September to October. I think today's the 26th of September, so we've got a little bit of time yet to see if they will in fact nest. Well, we're out here on the 4th of November now, and that's a little bit after the time that these shearwaters should have laid their eggs. In the interim, since we were last here, they've come and gone at least 20 times again and stayed, I suppose, many nights. They've stayed over, and oftentimes we see them staying overnight and leaving at first light in the morning to feed at sea, and then coming back in the evening and doing a bit of gardening at their burrows, and it all looked quite promising to me, but the burrows are now empty. I've got Helen Gummer here with me, who has done a lot of fluttering shearwater projects around the country, and indeed other seabirds, and I was quite keen to get her take on it. Helen, what do you think's going on?
On the footage, we've been seeing the birds doing a lot of vocalisations, so coming into the burrows, doing a bit of gardening, as you say, pulling this material into the burrows, coming out, sitting on top of the burrow leads and doing a lot of calling. And usually if birds continue to call like that for long spells of time at night, it's highly likely that they haven't got a mate because they're still calling for a mate.
Now, I misinterpreted that. I thought, oh, they're calling and they're talking to the speakers and it's all going along swimmingly, but you're saying otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, the footage that we've been watching, it looks like the birds are unpaired. We actually haven't seen that many interactions between birds, and once a bird meets a prospective partner, it will then take it into its burrow, and then you don't actually see a lot of them on the surface. Once a bird's paired up, they usually come into land at night and then go into the burrow and do all sorts of courtship stuff in the burrow.
Right. And does this mean that the project's a failure?
Not at all, because they're probably young birds, pioneers of new colonies, which is what these are, because you've just got a handful of birds, you think. I mean, at one time we saw 3 birds in one shot, so you've got at least 3 birds there.
Yeah.
These are what you'd call pioneers of a new colony site, and it's a sort of natural dispersal process where some birds from some colonies will not return there as adults, as most of them do, but they'll actually go looking for other colonies to potentially.
So these birds are naturally inclined to disperse, but we can't conclude from that they're experienced breeders, quite the opposite.
Yeah, the birds that disperse are often the immature birds.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
So maybe fluttering shearwaters will start breeding at 3 or 4 years old, and the earliest they can come back to a colony is maybe 2 or 3 years old, and so they don't necessarily breed as soon as they come back. They've got a lot of things to sort of sort out in the way of finding a partner, finding a burrow to nest in.
So what would we expect from now on?
If the birds, it's possible the birds are all the same gender and that's why they haven't actually met a partner. So for the next season, these birds are probably likely to come back again and just hope that they can call in a partner. Whether they meet one at sea, I don't know with these particular ones.
Yeah.
Whether there's more birds dispersing that are attracted into this site, and eventually you strike it lucky and there's a male and a female and they pair up and then you're away. Yeah.
What if the local colonies are in trouble and then they're not at carrying capacity, so to speak, and there's no pressure for birds to leave that colony and go somewhere else? Does that mean that we're up against it?
Yeah. And these birds may not stay. You know, they may, if they're not having any success for over a few years, they may decide to move on.
So it's watch this space.
Basically, yes.
Thanks, Helen. Thank you very much for watching. That's it for now.